off, and I thought that we would get into experimenting with these very pale LA Pro Conceal concealers. This one is actually Fairest, which is the palest shade of Pro Conceal, and then this one is a white corrector, right? Is this what people are talking about when they're talking about that Donna Mills 80s very bright under eye? It's all over TikTok, and I thought we'd experiment with this delicious looking, kind of Tati-like Morphe palette, Ready Set Gold 35R, and see what's what. What we have on our face is a layer of this Sephora CC Eye Cream and Concealer. What's not good, the color is good for some subtle highlight concealer, but it really does settle into pores around the nose and the area between the brows, and I'm not someone who feels like I normally have very visible pores or issues like that, but this product seems to want to show every tiny crater in my epidermis. So, you know, this is me trying to organize and use up my stash for 2022, and I don't know if this product would be assisted by getting into any of these tiny little poreless putty primer, matte putty primer, or luminous putty primer from e.l.f. I'm sort of planning to go to the gym. I'm not really too concerned about keeping product on my face, but in as much as this cream concealer looks nice at a distance, up close it adds some disturbing texture. But I thought that I would do some subtle contouring with a cool shade from this NARS Copacabana Sidari Beach Sculpting Multiple Duo. Right, so there's a matte side, which I guess is the Sidari Beach color, so that, you know, a lot of people do harsh contouring at night. Sometimes it's very visible in photographs. If we think about, you know, some of our favorite internet stars and our favorite rappers, sometimes the makeup and contouring can be a little unsubtle. And I'm just gonna turn on my mirror light and grab my handheld mirror to, you know, subtly enhance that jawline, right? Try to paint out that double chin gently but effectively. Create these little lines on the side of the chin. I don't have the strongest chin in the world, so I need all the help I can get. You know, but I feel like this color is just cool enough to show as a intensification of the shadow under my cheekbone, and then just get it into that hairline to shrink down the volume of our forehead. We don't have a huge forehead, but if we want to look feminine and pretty, the convention in the West is to shrink down the real estate of the face. You see this very clearly when you look at drag makeup. You know, we're trying to, you know, use our stash, see what's what, see what is actually an effective product, and, you know, especially for day, not going too far or being, you know, too obviously makeup. You know, I play law enforcement sometimes in my acting work, and you cannot have a lot of really visible makeup on, but people do. Oh, baby, they do. They put on full coverage foundation and it looks so powdery and crazy. You know, it's just very thick, and then, you know, eyeliner and all that stuff, which you see, which is fine, but it doesn't necessarily look regulation. And different shows are, you know, have different levels of pickiness about how this is the highlighter side, which we won't, I don't think we're going to get into that because this is daytime. We'll just put a little bit. It's unsatisfying when you kind of wreck the product in the package, but we're just trying to get some on the corner of the brush and add a bit to our nose. And then we're going to experiment with, should we do it? Should we go for the Fairest or for the white corrector, right? but just on the corners of that nose, trying to make a thin set of straight lines. It's subtle, right? Looking into my mirror at a distance, connecting it up to the brow, maybe taking it across the crease of the eye, a little bit above my natural crease since I am a hooded eye person. You know, I feel like this would be a subtle kind of preppy going to the Bristol Farms market. Not too much makeup, but definitely not a bare face, right? And if I added a lip, something natural but enhanced, it wouldn't be, you know, I wouldn't be thought of as a try hard. In any case, I am loving this little mirror. I pulled off the most of the stickers, but I see I have a little more sticker to get rid of. You know, no need to show the branding if they're not paying me, right? That's the YouTube way. So we're about to risk it all. Are we going white or are we going fairest? Maybe we should go for the white and really just really just get it on. If we're gonna do it, let's do it. So opening this package, it's probably a little squeezy brush, as with most or all concealers from this brand. Squeeze it a bit, see if we can dot it. Oh, it did come out. It's white. Oh my goodness. This could be a very terrifying, very terrifying experiment. But, you know, we're in it now. We are in it now. All right, let's try not to contaminate the actual product, and let's get a very distinctively small brush. Is this the smallest we can do? We'll save our eyeliner brush for stamping on some, what do you call it? Some liner from Shadow. But dampening this brush and dabbing it off on the back of our hand so it's not sopping wet. Let's get that brush in that, oh, it's so white, and see what we can do down the center of the nose, right? Center of the nose, very thin white line, right? And because we wet our brush, it's sort of sheared it out to an extent. We're not trying to look like a clown. Uh-oh, we're just trying to get that white highlight down the center of the nose that then we can take down with contour, right? We did lay down a subtle contour on the sides, but that center line is really what gets you. I was watching some model on, I guess it was either TikTok or YouTube Shorts, walk down a runway, and I think it was Candice Swanepoel, that South African Victoria's Secret model, and they had a line of highlighter right down the center of her nose, and it looked very arresting, but it looked also kind of crazy. So this is the moment of truth, right? If this is the line down the center of the nose, right, and it's definitely white, then, you know, just trying to subtly lay that white under the eye, right? Making it enough to brighten, especially that one shadowed area that Wayne Goss tells us about. Tapping that in, letting it dry down, right? But definitely letting the color get in there, right? Because that's the part, no matter how much concealer, when it wears off or it wasn't enough, that's the part that comes back and it looks like a line and it looks like darkness, right? It definitely looks highlight. We're being a little conservative. We're trying to get it in the corner of that nose, right? Some people highlight all down the sides of the nose to set off those darker lines down. My phone is just, it's giving me Morse code to go get a new one. It really is. It's just, every time I go live, it dies. Every time I do other social media, it disconnects. You know, even if there's not Wi-Fi, that doesn't mean that the phone has the right to just undermine all of my hard work. But that's where I'm living. I think this is just Apple's way of telling me that they're not going to allow me to keep my iPhone 10. And I love my iPhone 10. It's the perfect size. The 13 Plus with the terabyte, I get it. All the boys at work were bragging about it. All the girls at work who are shooting their content, starring me, were bragging about it. But I'm really not hating this white. I think the stripe down the nose is a little unsubtle. But in this mirror, the side panels of this 3-panel mirror, right, looking to the side, kind of letting that concealer dry down and get into the corner of that nostril, right, on the Cupid's bow, right? It really does seem to take care of that darkest part of the under eye, right? I won't call it an eye bag, but you know, I certainly have colleagues who are going to the dermatologist and getting into what is it? Filler? And I'm like looking at them like, you don't look different. You just, you know, you've injected stuff in your face. And it's a little scary because people talk about how some of the stuff, depending on what the stuff is, you know, look, watching my face move and seeing where my cheekbone and my muscles are. This is a nose highlight and it is straight and it really does set off that very subtle contour in a way that I'm not mad, right? Like you think about drag makeup where they really paint out that jawline and they paint out the top of the forehead and really shrink it down to focus more attention on the eyes, on the mouth, and what is that? What is that TikTok audio that's like, eliminate the nose. Men don't like noses. If they find out that we can shapeshift, they're going to tell the church, which, you know, women have always had their subtle magic. Some would call it witchcraft, but we're not going to play with that word because people are actually burning books again. Isn't that strange? I mean, you know, there's a lot going on in the world. I thought we might mess with, this is obviously the wrong cap, but we have Intense Stay Auto Liner from our friends at LA Girl. There have been so many people, particularly young Chinese or Asian women, using eyebrow or eyeliner. This is deepest brown to contour their nose. Now, we've gotten into those, you know, muddy noses where people put a big stripe of brown and then they paint white or a light color over it. We're not doing that today. We painted on that very stark white line down the middle of our nose. And now we'll try to steady our hand on our desk, our beauty desk. We've done some reorganizing. I hope you can appreciate that this is a far improvement from where things were. This chair is not the best. If I raise the chair, it lowers down step by step. I was thinking of, I like it because it's, you know, kind of got these bands or like bungee cords. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but I do have a white chair that has, I think, a higher back. I wonder if that would bring light to this situation. I am still in daylight, not for long though, because it's like 4:30, 5 o'clock. So putting our elbow on our desk and thinking about the makeup artist Glammed by Iggy, who did my makeup for a photo and video shoot in December. He put 2 very straight lines down the middle of my nose. Will this even paint over this white? Two straight lines, you know, think of what Scott Barnes did to Tati, you know. And what's nice is that this product is dark, but it's coming across sheer and it's not adding disturbing texture to our nose, right? That's one straight line, right? I don't know what we're gonna do with this white stripe, but maybe we can paint a little brown over the edges of it and just make it narrower. because that's what it is. It's an optical illusion. And because it's a straight line, that makes your nose look, I guess, straighter. Maybe like it has more of a bridge and like it has more structure than it does. And then I guess you connect the dark brown lines that are coming out sheer. But what's nice is that it's making our nose skin look darker than the white stripe, but it's not making our nose skin look like there's a pile of product. So I've seen people shorten the nose by getting that brown under there. It looks very theatrical. You know, is this a stipple foundation over that moment, right? To let that contour of the nose and that highlight live, it's connected to the brow, right? Do we use the same pencil to give us a sharper contour moment on the cheek? It's a little bit of a rough product for the face, right? Looking at it. Right? There can be no doubt where that line is. There can be no doubt where that line is. Is the angle the same? The thing about a 3-panel mirror is that you can kind of get a look at it at the same time. Kind of. I'm just figuring it out. How far in should this line come? I feel like there's a bit of a glare that isn't necessarily realistic. I don't dislike the white stripe or the way that this brown looks on my nose, right? There's a school of thought that says draw a circle on the tip of the nose, but the professional makeup artist did not do that. He did not draw a circle on the tip of my nose, right? I played games underneath to shorten the nose. You know, I feel like our white under eye concealer is just sort of melting in or melting away. Experiment, right? When we're home and the people outside have a lawnmower going, it's a perfect time to experiment with makeup. But I did want to say a few words about our I don't know this person, but this Chime Philly, who has been covering Luscious Masacr, and he's been doing a lot of coverage of Luscious Masacr, and Luscious Masacr has been pushing back, and it seems like it's all fair, but I think that Chime Philly could learn a lot from listening to what Radiant Britt had to say about self-taught beauty. The phrase is sad fishing, right? And it's one thing if you're going through hard times and you're talking about it. And this is, I think, what Chime Philly's point is. Chime Philly as well as Shelby E. Because I really didn't get that from watching the parts of Luscious's lives that I did watch with Joella Puss and other people. I was more into the story time and I wanted to see the makeup process, but I never did get to see that. But I think that the point was that if you're telling sad stories to manipulate your audience and ask them for money, there's nothing wrong with asking for money, but just like Radiant Britt's point about self-taught beauty, right? This is the second or third year where self-taught beauty has been, I apologize for the lawnmower, but self-taught beauty has been asking people and saying, you know, she has multiple pets and lives in a shed and there may have been a house fire, allegedly, but that, you know, her move is not to go to the county and ask for housing or shelter or rehoming her pets. Her move is not even to be more productive and talking about her journey on YouTube, right? And getting AdSense dollars on monetized channels. That Radiant Britt's point would require work, right? It's much easier to come on a live and sad fish, and this is Chime Philly's point. Sad fish, but the point is it too much not just to ask your audience for money, but to kind of play sad fishing manipulation games in order to get money that way rather than doing content, doing makeup content, having your audience sort of naturally engage with your content. And you can be sad in it, but really with a work ethic that says I'm going to get money through my work and my sadness rather than, just sort of going there during lives and not necessarily delivering quality content, but, wanting, I don't know what's going on outside, wanting your audience to kind of step in because you're either too depressed or unwilling for whatever reason to, engage in doing enough content on your channel to make more money. So we're being naughty. We're using this Derma Blend leg and body makeup, which works so great on the body, and we're just stippling it with this e.l.f. small stipple brush over that stark white contour and highlight. So it's definitely erased or made more subtle. It's a layer under there, right? And same thing with that contour line. But, just trying to experiment with thinner lines, more intentional placement. It looks very exciting when people are, running a brush over their face and, voila and all of that. I definitely feel like there are some gurus that are always contouring or reverse contouring their noses and not talking about it. And then they'll say, oh, I'm doing it off camera. But it's like, that's the thing that makes them look so snatched, but they would never show it. Certain people, I won't say who they are, but I enjoy Lushious Masacr's content. Again, ever since she was doing content with Rich Lux, all those stories about their adventures at the bookstore were incredible. I send them to so many people because they're so good. And whatever their relationship is, whatever Luscious's concern is about Rich and, I guess no longer Jeffrey, but whatever. I mean, that's part of being in the game, right? Being in public, having people, be fascinated by you and look to you for guidance about your artistry and all of that. That's the place to concentrate your energy and think about growing your authority and your following and getting your views up, right? We want to be on that journey as you, whatever, seek treatment for your depression or, kind of do something about it. I don't think people are against tipping or giving money, but I think Chime Philly, Shelby E, other critics of Luscious Masacr, not critiquing her for being sad. It's the sad fishing piece of it, right? It's like Kardashians can like black culture, black food, black music, black men. But it's the changing your look, doing your hair to appropriate the culture and dangle that as the attraction, right? To catfish, use an attractive picture that isn't you to dangle that as the attraction to suck people in. Is Luscious Masacr dangling the sadness, the depression, the, kind of eating struggle, the weight struggle, dangling that to distract and create content that isn't what we are actually, a lot of us are there for the juicy story times and also for the makeup. I certainly need help with my makeup, but what we're getting is a lot more sad fishing and a lot less what I would call, her expertise. I want her life experience and her expertise. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not really here just to Morphe Ready Set Gold. There's a lot of different colors. Let's work from the palest, get it across the lid. Not a particularly good brush, but whatever. There is a shade sheet, right? I think, yes, this must be classic. But in any case, we're gonna work pale, crease, outer V, inner corner, inner 2/3 because we have a hooded eye. So this palette does not have a mirror. So we're going to have to integrate using our mirror and getting this eye look going. But yeah, dipping this brush in this shade, giving it a good swirl. You know, again, I think all of this is worth a discussion, right? It's a juicy discussion. And I don't know, as again with Radiant Britt and Self-Taught Beauty, that I don't think that once you put your business out in the YouTube streets that you have really a right to say, oh, Lushious was saying on her live, I rebuke people talking about, I rebuke people critiquing this, because if it was private business, you wouldn't have talked about it. But, you know, to, on the one hand, want attention for, and sympathy for the struggle, it doesn't exempt the struggle from being discussed or critiqued, particularly because, and now again, I think the most scandalous word, it is unkind to say certain slurs about people's weight. And I think that Chime Philly apologized for that. He just might be, you know, a newbie, not really completely in control of his rhetoric, right? I think for someone under 1,000 subscribers, he can be given, you know, some leeway to develop himself and develop the politesse to have longevity on this platform. But to say he's not allowed to discuss seems like a reach, and having, you know, the opinion that all of these channels are being bullies when they're being critical of the fundraising part of it, I think is a little, that's going a little bit far. So we've just used this color to create a wash of pale color across the lid. We did not use a lid primer or an eye shadow base or any kind of eye primer, but we ran that under the eye as well, right? Looking at the subtlety of the contour and highlight, right? Trying to rub out any creasing. And then we're going to switch brushes, right? Or should we use the same brush to get this whatever crease color, right? Something a little bit more saturated. I guess it's kind of like a deep kind of mauvey brown. Get that across the crease. But you know, I think that Luscious is going to be fine. I would like her to do, you know, what a lot of us are fans of her for. The makeup, I'm fascinated by the Shangela piece of it. I'm fascinated by the interaction with Jeffree Star. You know, I think this may also be about Luscious getting used to people paying attention when she's making moves. I think it's great that she was at a party with Jeffree Star. He, I think, remains someone who wants to atone, whether that's legitimately atone or just publicly atone. And I think that, you know, he's someone who is certainly an interesting person and is wherever he is in terms of his cosmetic and, is it emu and other business. You know, obviously it's still compelling, right? It's still compelling to think about and know that Luscious was at a party with him and took a photograph with him. You know, whatever she's saying about, you know, she didn't know who he was, or that they both pretended that they didn't know who each other were. You know, listen, people play games, right? We know this. They do it in politics, they do it at work, they do it, you know, when they're stalking people's pages and all of that. And, you know, again, I think being discussed in the world of tea is not a bad thing, right? Notice and fame and controversy is not bad for Luscious Masacr. It's interesting. And certainly a lot of us need some relief from this endless discussion of Trisha Paytas and the husband and the back and forth with the family. I don't find it that fascinating. I don't find it worth the amount of time and exploration you know, I think they're interesting people, but I feel like all of that coverage and story has been done to death. If she's trying to get pregnant, let her go and do that. And we don't need to have daily updates about something that it's the same story, it's the same thing over and over again, right? It was to that point with Gabby Hanna. It was interesting, but it really it really didn't go anywhere, right? It really didn't change anything. It was just sort of horrible and distressing, and you know, you're concerned for the people involved, but on a daily basis, I feel like Chime Philly has done something by shining a little bit more light on Luscious Massacre. This is a very subtle palette on my skin tone, right? I could turn up brighter light, but I don't know that that's gonna make this different or better, you know. This is not the best brush, but you know, we're just trying to make it do what it do. I do like how these shadows look and how they blend. You know, sometimes when I'm doing my makeup, I feel inspired, like, ooh, I should have a more blatant kind of earring moment or a more involved hairdo. And then I think about my plan to go to the gym and I don't want to bother. What's the right brush to get to the outer corner? Here's a random Bobbi Brown Essentials eyeshadow brush. This seems okay. Maybe not the most fabulous brush, but I go through a group of brushes and I have to wash them and then they are over there drying. Do you use the antibacterial soap to wash your brushes? I think Dawn soap in combination with an antibacterial soap and then laying your brushes on the stove so that the pilot light, the sort of subtle flame, helps effectively dry through the brush, because you know, no one wants bacteria or moisture to live in the base of the brush or inside the brush. Having them hang down, not, you know, immersing your brushes in water, I think are probably a good idea. But you know, I like this handheld mirror. I have to get rid of this sticker, ignore that, so that you can see what I'm doing. You know, I think that my chair goes down, and often in these lives, as opposed to other apps, sometimes focus is an issue. But you know, we have a good deal of very much darker shades. Maybe we'll get into some kind of caramel kind of moment, and maybe we'll go a little bit darker than maybe we should, but let's try it out. But some of these eyeshadow experts, there's a gentleman that works for Sephora, and watch my chair go down little by little. So annoying. I might have to replace this chair. But you know, he's discussing stamping your color on the outer corner, right? Right? Really getting into that crease, maybe holding the mirror down below so that you can actually stretch out that lid fold, right? If you have a hooded eye, you know the struggle, right? But then thinking about a lifted shape, thinking about that crease, and thinking about emphasizing the architecture of that corner, right? Because that corner is often what makes the difference between just, you know, when you're a kid and you just brush shadow across your eye, kind of just in that, you know, 90s Britney Spears kind of way. You know, I think you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this gentleman was talking about stamping across the shape of that outer V, right? Our V is not necessarily the most prominent or accessible because of that skin fold. You know, a lot of celebrities and other people are going to the plastic surgeon to lift the eye, right? To pull that lid up and give it more space. And, you know, it does look really compelling. I don't know if I'm there in my journey yet. I'm trying to just master some amount of makeup doings. And that's what we need you for, Luscious Massacre, for your good example and for your expertise, right? All of this drama, and you rebuke people commenting on the things that you've chosen to put into the public sphere, right? If it was private and it's too painful for people to discuss, you know, I might suggest keeping it to your friends and family. That might be a good thing to do because, you know, baby channels are struggling and audience members of YouTube in general are struggling. You know, we don't want to hear the same stories and cover the same people. You know, it just, I don't know. Who has anything to say about Trisha Paytas? It's all been discussed. It's all been said, right? And I don't know that I can learn anything. I'm just going back to this little brush to blend out the edges, make it look a little more blended and gradient, but also lifted, right? We hear all these theories about eyeshadow and makeup and we try to practice them, right? But, you know, I think Luscious Massacre does incredibly arresting eyeshadow looks, right? In drag, in her video performance and all of that. And I would love to see step-by-step tutorials, right? I'd love to understand the building of that brow and the, you know, very intense darkness around the eye where you can barely see her eyeballs. It looks incredible, right? And I think she's an incredible artist. And, you know, we want to see her grow and do the very best that she can, given, you know, where she is in her circumstance. And I think she's doing great. That's definitely shaded. That's a shaded eye, right? There's eyeshadow on there. It's lifted. It's under the eye a little bit, you know. Now maybe we can do an inner corner highlight and then stamp on the sorry, people are texting me, the 2/3 and all that jazz. I think we already used this brush, but using a very small paddle brush, I think, will be the move. Here is an Eco Tools brush. Don't just look at the sadness of my fingernails. I'm just, ugh, the way those 2-inch acrylics did me wrong. I'm eating salads and I'm working out specifically so that I can regrow my nails and my lashes. I mean, look at this. The carnage, right? I had nice, thick, healthy lashes until I let those people put that glue on my fingers and on my lashes, and I'm still struggling to recover. So going to the palest shimmer, dipping the brush in, right? And looking at that inner eye, stamping that along the inner eye line, top and bottom, and kissing that inner corner. Look at that highlight. Let's do it again in case it's not reading on the camera. Let's see. Just stamping it, right? Hooded eye, you want to establish that color above and below, and this is the brightest highlight color, right? Brightest. Other side. Stamping it below the inner third of the eye. What do you call it? Lash line. And the lash line, kissing that inner corner so that you get that bright light in the inner corner. And then let's use the same brush and take a slightly darker shimmer shade. These are shimmers, not glitters. There's kind of a mustardy colored one, right? Let's try to read some gold onto this look, but using this tiny brush, the gold is on there. We're not getting a lot of fallout, so that's a good thing. So we can stamp this on and kind of have it grow out of that very bright inner corner, inner lash line highlight. And then we can think about blending and kind of shifting it over toward the middle where your halo eye would exist, and kind of getting a gesture, a brightness, and something that we can blend, right? Other side. Being careful to respect what we've laid down, but also create light. Oh, is that the ice cream man outside? You know, I don't think it's kind for Chime Philly to insult someone about their weight loss journey. It is something that so many Americans struggle with. You know, it has to do with our food quality and the comfort that tasty, salty, sweet, fatty, delicious food gives, especially if you're exhausted from creating content. Let's not downplay the struggle of, you know, finding the energy, finding the time, especially if you're working, to do this work. It is exhausting, right? It's exhausting to, you know, speak to camera, have enough to say, and do it with, you know, intention and will, and with some amount of, I don't know, interest, right? You know, I think what I'm really trying to say is like, Luscious Masacr is great. Chime Philly is great. Luscious Masacr should appreciate the fact that people find her interesting enough to discuss, right? Just blending those edges together, trying to make that whitish shimmer and that gold not such a stark contrast. Any fame or even infamy is not a bad thing. People pay good money for it. Rappers take their guns to the airport on the regular just so that they can have access to notice and free publicity. It is what it is, right? You can't cry about it, but you know, I think this is a good moment. I don't dislike this eyeshadow look. I think it's a little bit tame. It's not as dramatic as the Maddie Ziegler palette. It's definitely not as dramatic as the Nikita Dragun palette, but I don't dislike it. I think that if you're trying to look austere, like the way you would do if you were going to a ballet performance or a ballet recital, you might, you know, get into some looks that are, oh, should I make some sort of eyeliner? Some looks that are austere, right? That's the word. You don't want to go too far. You don't want to be too much, but you definitely want to deliver a look that is arresting and meaningful, right? You don't want to have people, you know, too much color, too much craziness is not, you know, day-to-day life. It's not necessarily appropriate if it's not on stage and all that. Oh, did I do that? But yeah, we're just gonna pick a dark matte and use this very delicious, great brush from BH Cosmetics. It's so stiff and so sharp to make an inner and an outer corner. Just a line, right? A hooded eye. You don't need to make some big, great, crazy swooping line, right? You need to look at where your crease happens naturally and where your lower lash line is, right? And just take that brush and push it into your flesh and make a stamp. Look at that. Other side. Right, lower lash line. Stamp. Right? That takes all the drama out of it. You don't need to draw. You don't need to go crazy, you know, but you can brush back up into that lash line. Beautiful chocolate color. Other side. Beautiful chocolate color. And there you have a very sharp, thin line. Can you see me? Is this too much light? I know the light is changing. Looks good in the mirror. I do look like I'm about to do a ballet performance. Maybe this is the one that's too bright. I do not dislike. But now for the inner corner. Let's see, should we turn this up? How's that? You know, little inner corner. I always start the day like doing errands, and then I feel like, and same thing, we want to look at our eye open and then take that sharp brush and just set down a little inner corner line. You know, I had such a struggle, make it a little bit longer, for a long time trying to figure out how people were getting such sharp, careful lines on their inner corner especially. And I got a whole bunch of brushes and a whole bunch of liquid liners, and you know, it was only when I sort of discovered quality brushes that would give me the right result that I kind of knew. And I feel like these are the subtleties that a lot of makeup artists don't give away, those secrets. It almost just seems like, wow, you know, magic. They can just do it so good. And how are they using these giant brushes to make precise contour? And, you know, people have these little cards and shields that they hold at the side of their eye when, you know, the right subtle brush, a sharp line. Yes, you can clean it up with concealer. Yes, you can extend it. But, you know, this is a random brush that I got at Rich Lux's favorite, Ross Dress for Less. And it has been probably one of the most important brushes that I've ever gotten into my possession, just because it is super synthetic and super sharp and super stiff. And when you lay it down with some dark eyeliner, it gives you a perfect angled result. And not every, you know, I could show you the pageant of different eyeliner brushes that I have that are very disappointing and, you know, that haven't given me joy the first. It just hasn't, they haven't given me any kind of joy. And I, you know, kept pouring money into it, pouring money into it, and pouring money into it. And, you know, it's not good enough for veteran makeup gurus to want to sell makeup to us newbies. It's not good enough for them to want to, two different bronzers. Let's go for the paler one. Let's go for a small angled brush. Do we have a smaller one? Do you see what I'm saying? Small brush, bigger brush. This is going to create a mess. That's where I was. But now I have this small angled brush. It's a Morphe E46. Let's see what we can do to be precise. And again, not going super dark. Physician's Formula, Matte Manoy, Butter Bronzer in the shade Sunkissed. Not going for the darkest dark. You know, it's still daylight here, right? Setting that down, ignoring the little brush that comes with it, getting that into our product, just kissing it in there with love. Looking at that cheek, thinking about where we laid down that contour, right? The top of the ear, the middle of the ear, and a bronze that kisses that cheekbone and brings in some warmth without losing our design, right? We're just wanting to use makeup to enhance and set, right? Set cream product, set pencil, set our idealized shape, right? Idealized tones. That double chin, we'll work on it in the gym. You know, we've made a lot of progress, you know, and it's been pretty painless just by adding more vegetables. Just volume wise, you can still eat pizza. You can still eat the things you love, dessert, but you'll find that you have less room for just volumes and volumes of high calorie food. And if you think about your beauty and you think about your health, you'll want to give privilege to the things that enhance your beauty and your health, right? You want to get good cosmetics. You want to eat good food. You want to wear nice clothes and good wigs and things that kind of deliver the look that you're looking to share with the world, right? And, you know, I think that, yes, you can get kind of torn down and broken down by what people, random people, let's be honest, say on the internet. But, you know, to Luscious's point, she's got more followers. She is in the YouTube world more significant, and that can change. But, you know, if you put things that are out there, you cannot expect that people aren't going to talk about it, because you're no longer in control. The information, the cat is out of the bag. It's not fair to come back and say that no one can talk about it because you don't like it. You don't like being critiqued. Oh, well, you know, if it was a secret, you shouldn't have talked about it. And it's not a secret anymore. So I guess we're all just going to have a YouTube family meeting and figure it out. This is espresso, super dark. This is passion, not the right color. Where is, oh God, fuchsia. That's absolutely the wrong one. We're just trying to find a brown that's not crazy, right? That is more of a subtle brown. But we may not be able to find what we need. Oh no. You know, I don't dislike this eye. We definitely look made up. We have structure on the face. Do we need more of a blush? Should we get into this Creme Shop King palette and use perhaps the center shade? You know, that's something a little bit more mauve, a little bit more matte. And then we can use our same brush from our bronzer. Tap that in. Make that sound that all the beauty gurus make. I don't know where my brown lip liner has gone, but in any case, tap that on the cheek, right? Tap, 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 highest point of the cheek, angled up, 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 bringing out that cheekbone with a little bit of color, right? Trying not to disturb the makeup underneath, but definitely enhancing that cheekbone, right? Putting the old school draping on top of the new school contour and bronzing, right? Trying to create some visual unity, getting that onto the forehead and onto the temple. Maybe having it dance across the nose. We don't like to do the tip of our nose. I know. I just think it looks crazy. It makes it look like you've been abusing, you know, cocaine or something, or drinking too much. You know, some people, their faces turn red when they drink alcohol, and that's not really the look that I'm trying to. Passion? No, that's red. Fuchsia? No. Sexy pink? No. You know, where is the pencil that I need? That's all I want to know. Cocoa. Finally, I found it. Our friend Iman, I don't even know if you can get these pencils anymore, but if you just want a brown that's not, you know, too much, this is a very pale gold eye, right? I can see it in my mirror. We're not overlining. We're giving a little more attention to the outside part of the lip. All right. Respecting that lip line. Respecting the heritage that has given us these nice lips. Emphasizing the Cupid's bow with that little X. Drawing some lines on the lips. Bang! Right? It's brown. It's warm. It's like, remember Kraft caramels had the lighter and the darker caramel? This is like the lighter caramel. And then we have a bunch of, I don't know what these are exactly, from e.l.f. This is Pinkies Up, and then we have Cinnamon Dream. We haven't tried Cinnamon Dream before. It is a brown. Well, maybe we should go more for pink, just to paint this over our liner, right? And here's the doe foot. The doe foot itself is fuchsia, so it's confusing. It makes it look like the color is going to be super, super fuchsia, and it isn't, right? And just popping this on over our liner, right? Just kissing it into that liner so that the structure of the liner is there, but through the lip color. A subtle pink lip color, other side of the doe foot, right? Press that together. It's great. It makes my lips look slightly bruised. And this is actually a more wet kind of formula than I would have expected. I don't even think this, unless it dries down, I don't think it even needs a gloss, right? But picture me with my hair down, right? Does it stay this wet, I wonder? These are e.l.f. I don't even know what the names of these are. I think they're new. They come in these little boxy shapes, but it's very nice because it's sheer, right? Sheer pink over this brown, kind of got into a kind of brownish raspberry pink, right? I think it looks quite nice. Let's just put the excess on our cheek. The old school way of putting your lip color on your cheek for visual unity. Tap any left on our finger onto our chin and our cheeks and our nose. And I think we are done. I really don't think I need to add a lash. I'm trying to not abuse what's left of my lashes. But I feel like we're painted and we're enhanced in a way that is tasteful. It's like that preppy makeup. Not too much color, not too crazy. It's definitely there. You see that you know what you're doing. I feel like our nose contour has sharpened up our nose. I don't know that our nose is smaller, but I definitely can see that highlight on the bridge of my nose. And I definitely can see the brightness given by that inner corner shimmer and that inner corner gold for the 2/3. So we've got some color and some architecture, right? The outer third. And now the warmth of our skin has sort of married it all together. If I didn't know me and I saw me at a distance, I would say, oh, what a tasteful woman. Look at her with her subtle but expert makeup. You know, I'm definitely way better than I was in the beginning. And maybe that's the best that we can do, right? We can think about our technique and our products and keep ourselves learning and experimenting with Dermablend for body on our face. But I like it because it definitely gives you coverage, but it is not a thick, powdery, opaque. The only thing that went wrong in our makeup is our ongoing love affair with this Sephora CC Eye Cream and Concealer. It has a pore enhancing, dusty finish that is not a plus, but you know, I look pretty and I look kissable, and I've got inner corner and outer corner flick and drama on the lid, an enhanced cheekbone, and you know, looking in my mirror panels, I can see how kind of cleaned up my jawline is, and that's not natural. That's definitely makeup. But in any case, thank you for joining me. I hope I haven't been too harsh on our friends, Chime Philly and Lushious Masacr. Shout out to Shelby E. Shout out to Rich Lux. You know, I've enjoyed watching Joella Puss and all of the different lives and posts from Lushious Masacr. But, you know, in a way, I just say, you know, darling, get over yourself. You put yourself and your business out there. You know, everyone is struggling. Everyone is struggling with their weight, Lord knows, and we support you. If we weren't supporting you, we wouldn't be watching. If we weren't supporting you, we wouldn't be interested, and your channel would die. But if you get back to posting more consistently and give the people what they want, you know, a more steady makeup and drag makeup education, you know, I think we're going to be here for your weight loss and mental health journey, and that you have a right to do and say whatever you want, but so do other people, as long as they're not infringing on your copyright. And, you know, it's all love. And I think that, you know, Trisha Paytas and Gabby Hanna and all them people are so boring. You know, we want something interesting. We want Brownsville. We want the bookstore. We want the cantina. We want drag makeup. We want your private life. We want all of it. If you didn't want to give it to us, you shouldn't have started. But we want it, and we're here for it, and we're going to be looking and watching and, you know, drinking it in, right? We're choosing to spend our entertainment moments on YouTube, not on Netflix, not on, you know, other streaming services. We're curious about you and the struggle that you have that we relate to, and the expertise you have with makeup that we aspire to. And that's the kind of like push and pull of our, what is it, parasocial relationship. So this look is primer free. This look is slightly more powdery and pore enhancing than we would prefer. You know, I think that maybe this CC cream from Sephora will end up outside for other people to enjoy. We have some other products like this butter blush from Physicians Formula that is this, it smells so good, it looks so nice, but it's this weird pale lilac color that is in no way a plus for our complexion, and it might have to go outside, right? We don't have to keep hold of everything, only the products that work, that make us look interesting and intriguing and like the person that we see ourselves as in our mind's eye. And that's what I want to encourage Lushious Masacr and Rich Luxe and Shelby E and Chime Philly and everyone to focus on. Focus on the person that you see yourself as in your mind's eye, the person who is insightful, who is caring, who has a strong critique, but is ultimately responsible in this community. And I want to extend kind words to Radiant Britt and to Self-Taught Beauty, because, you know, again, from their examples, I've learned a lot about the concept of sad fishing and how we need to meet people who support us, whether it's with their views and their clicks or financially. We need to meet them halfway with our effort. It's not enough for us to lay on our back and play helpless, especially year after year. We do owe it to them and to ourselves to make some progress. You know, 1% of improvement, 1% of change, even the recognition of our own struggle is enough, right? And I think that'll be that. I think it might be time for me to eat again. I find it really hard to do all this contenting, but you know, I'm trying to respect you all and respect your time and your views and your example. So I'll see you next time. House of Tanya. Camera ready. I think I'm ready. Okay, bye.